I am thrilled today to be joined by Sara and Vinnie Cann, the mother and daughter team behind Birdie's Batch. What started with family recipes and a love of baking has grown into a successful product-based business featured in the New York Times. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship, working with family, which I'm sure is no easy feat, building a product-based business from the ground up, overcoming challenges along the way, and the ingredients that create long-term success. So welcome to the podcast, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm so excited to dive in. I haven't had a mother-daughter team on the podcast who started a business. Certainly there's so many challenges that you've had to overcome that I'm sure that I can learn from and our listeners can learn from. So why don't we start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about yourself and Birdie's Batch. And I think like so many entrepreneurs who have been on the podcast, this really was a product of the pandemic and having to shift in that time, right?
Yeah, it was. February, I was laid off from my restaurant job. I worked in Manhattan. I was the director of food operations for a restaurant group. And it's funny because Birdie's Batch, the idea hatched years ago. For my mom's birthday, I had designed a logo called Birdie's Bakery, and she always made these amazing jams. And I thought one day she would be a really great farmers market vendor. So that kind of sat on the back burner. Fast forward to 2020. I get laid off, and my first thought isn't to start a bakery. It's to start a regenerative farm. And I have no inkling of a green thumb. But in one of the regenerative farming books I was reading, there was a little blurb about the New York cottage food laws. And it said that you can start a food business out of your home. And so I came to my mom and I was like, would you want to become a farmer's market vendor? And she said,
well, I was like, yeah, whatever, sure. And then later, Sara shows up with an off we went. So
yeah, so we started in June of 2020. I also had like this impetus to start quickly because I was pregnant.
yes,
And I felt like, you got to get out of that gate running, otherwise everything else is going to take precedence. So I wanted to start this.
and not only was she pregnant, but she had a 1.5-year-old too at home. So yeah,
because you didn't have enough going on, right?
no, exactly.
And I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that have like this same condition where if I'm not busy, I get anxious, like I have to have a lot on my plate, I think to be happy and healthy. But I think Birdie's Batch actually taught me how to restrain myself and find a balance.
Thank God, because I'm exhausted. It's go, go, go with Sara, but no, I think that first year was really sort of a mishmash of all kinds of feelings and sort of is this what we really want to do? And can we actually do this? And it was really very scary that first year. Exciting, very exciting. And we received a lot of encouragement from the farmers market vendors and customers. So that was encouraging. But to say the least, there were quite a few wrinkles that first year. So
sure. I think every entrepreneur that first year in particular is full of a lot of challenges. But Sara, you come from a culinary background and you both it sounds like you have families that have a culinary tradition, just being really skilled in the kitchen, in the culinary arts. But what were some of the doubts? I mean, I'm sure you knew that you could create something that people wanted. But what were some of the doubts that you had to overcome in actually making it all work?
Well, one of my first early doubts when I was starting to think about building a business was leaving the comfort of my job.
Sure.
And like taking that leap and leaving that stability, that routine, having somebody else as your boss telling you what to do, that's the biggest fear. And I realized in my lifetime, there were two calamities that made that decision for me. The first was COVID, and the second was cancer. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2024. I'm fully in remission though. And it's taught me huge lessons. So the first one was that because I was laid off, it gave me this jumping point to start this business. And like probably any entrepreneur, you think, oh my God, are people going to like this? Is this even going to work? Am I going from like actually having a viable paycheck to probably losing money? And I think the moment that it all kind of gelled was the first time we got accepted into a farmer's market. And it was such a nice juxtaposition from coming from the corporate world in Manhattan, where it was like, you're working 60+ hour weeks, it's a male dominated field. I came back from maternity leave of my first kid, and they were like, did you enjoy your vacation? And you're like, okay, that wasn't a vacation.
Wow.
Into this field of like farmers markets where it's like open arms and a family. And I work with my family, I work with my mom, and it's just like such a foundation of love that no matter what the problem is, you're going to get through it, and you're going to love each other at the end of the day. And you're not going home saying like, oh my God, I want to quit. My boss is the worst. At least I hope my mom doesn't. She can give her own perspective on that. But I think they're all kind of surface level doubts where you don't think you're good enough or you have the skills. And to all the mompreneurs out there that want to start something, this was a really low stakes entry. I could do it from my home. It didn't cost a lot of money. It cost me about $2,500 to start with all the logistics, insurance, setting up your LLC, the initial ingredients. And as long as you apply and can get into these markets, you're kind of golden to start. And then from there, we just started to really build a loyal customer base who loved our stuff. And part of loving our stuff is loving our family recipes and who we are. And I realized like through these past 6 years, we're building a brand of Who Birdie's Batch, which is a reflection of who we are.
Sure.
And I realized the farther we've gone, the more important storytelling is, and educating customers about why we make this, why we buy this type of fruit from this farmer. And, it's a premium product. It's going to cost more than your commercial supermarket commodity, but there's a story behind it. And it's our job as the co-founders of this business to tell you why you should buy it.
And I think that's part of the branding for Birdie's. I mean, to offer somebody a taste of strawberry jam and they tell you, I'm not a jam person. And then they taste it and you see their face light up saying, oh my God, that's amazing. And then you go into the whole ritual about it's seasonal and this and that and bringing new ingredients. It's that buoys you up when you have your doubts and then you see this and you're like, oh my God, this is actually taking me back to my childhood when my grandmother used to take me shopping. I grew up in Brooklyn and we used to go to greengrocers and fishmongers and the butcher, and we never bought anything in supermarkets. And she would teach me, you don't buy this now because this is old or this is not in season. And that's where my love of food came from. And to pass that on to somebody who just thought that buying grapes or peaches at the supermarket that say that they come from Georgia, and they thought that they were like really good peaches, and then they taste a peach jam that was locally grown, is really affirming, I think, for, because you're passing along that. You're not only passing along the education and the experience, but you're somehow paying tribute to those that have taught you in the past as well. So
That's a beautiful thought. I think while you were talking, I think that there's this point in every entrepreneur's journey that they realize, oh, everybody doesn't know what I know. And you kind of have this role as a teacher and a communicator and, like you said, a storyteller, especially in an age of so many artificial things. I think people are looking for that genuine, real experience where they want to have things that nourish them and have a story behind them and just really fulfill them in a way where so many things are not doing that in our lives today. So,
Very true. Yeah. And I think to make it personal too, now that we've gotten to know our customer base, even those that are new customers, they come up and they say, oh, does this have this in it? I'm allergic to this. And we tell them, here's our card, email us, tell us what you would like and what you're allergic to, and we'll make it for you without that ingredient. And they really appreciate that because it's a quality product and they're able to eat it. We started, I think, making a lot of stuff gluten-free as well. And we really, we really see that particular community is so appreciative that they can enjoy like a delicious, crostata that's gluten-free, and you'd never know it was gluten-free. So
yeah, I think that there is a lot of market for that. And anybody who's listening, no matter what business you have, finding a way to not only find what your customers want and not just creating what it is that you think that they want, but listening to them, but paying attention to those gaps in the market and filling them, I think is so important. And so it sounds like too, in that process, you're seeing, okay, this sells, and you're listening to your customers. Are there things that you thought would sell that didn't? Or are there things that evolve, like the gluten-free options that maybe when you started, you never anticipated developing?
Yes. Well, do you go to your local farmers market?
I do. We have one of the top ones in the country. Yeah.
you.
Amazing. So, as you know, it's usually baked goods is the most crowded field at a farmer's market. You have lots of food options, pastries. So we wanted to diversify our offerings. So we started offering crostatas, which are also known as galettes. They're rustic pies, and it's a savory option. So it was something different for people to come, and they freeze really well, so people can come grab them for dinner. We even have customers who grab them for lunch. And now that's our number one seller. And that's not something we started making in the beginning. And they're seasonal, so we'll pick up seasonal produce. So come fall, we do squash galettes. It's summertime, we're going to be doing tomato galettes. We do eggplant, broccoli rabe. And then because we are so customer facing, where we see our customers every month at the market, we do listen to what they want. A lot of the vendors make Christmas cookies, but not a lot of vendors make Jewish holiday cookies. So we started making Hamantaschen, which is for Purim. We'll make flourless, leavening-free cookies for Passover. And we just try and cater to everybody who comes to the market. And it's a strength, but it's also a weakness because our menu is very large and it's just the two of us. So come Friday night before a Saturday market, we're like cursing at each other. Like, why did we put this 30th item on our menu?
Take this off the menu.
But it's so funny because we'll be like, but no, Bonnie really wants it.
Yes.
Make it for Bonnie.
Exactly.
So business acumen, smart strategy, but we really love our customers and we try to cater to everybody.
Exactly. And then we try to make it fun too for the customers, try to get them involved. Sara makes a mega chocolate chip cookie, which is a big, really big chocolate chips.
It's chewy.
It's
got
chewy.
Some salt flecks on the top.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't particularly.
She hates it.
I don't care for it. I'm more of a cakey chocolate chip person. So I make my own chocolate chips. And for the first year, I was like, do what you want to do. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And second year, I was like, we should make and she was like, no. And then we put it to our customers and we had a competition and I made mine, she made hers, and we involved them. We had little ballot cards and everybody had to vote and everything. I don't want to brag, but I won by one vote. But,
a landslide.
Yeah. So, and we call them Mama chocolate chips, Mama chip cookies. And people like really get into that. You know what I mean? It's
an interactive, something different.
yeah. And we have a customer too that says, how come nobody makes chocolate chip cookies with nuts? And I was like, oh, I said, I don't know, but I'll make you chocolate chip cookies with nuts. And so we make chocolate chip cookies with nuts that are called Mama's Gone Nuts. So and that's the other thing too, like naming all of this stuff and everything. You try to make it as whimsical as possible too. So this way you have a little standout as far as product is concerned. But
Yeah.
We try to make it fun, and I think that people recognize that.
I think that that's so important when you get so focused on results and doing your thing that you need to do in your business, and without making it fun, I think it can lead to burnout. And you started this business probably to have more fun and to have more joy and not to necessarily just have all the working hours and all of that. And it sounds like an element of fun is part of your recipe for working together and creating a relationship with your clients and your customers. So, what are some other things that you think help make it work between the two of you to keep going in your successful business?
Kind of dividing up the responsibilities too. My mom makes all the jams and the marmalades, and it's kind of under her.
Well, my expertise as far as, but I do rely on Sara. I'll be making a jam and I'll be tasting it because I'm a salt, I'm not a sweet. And I'll say, come over here and try this because I think it may not be as sweet as it should be. So yeah, so all of the jams, but Sara has taken on, I would say 95% of all of the baking. And she also, after the first year, put a separate kitchen in her house, which I think
I
helps.
think that really helped our relationship.
Yes, it helped our relationship. We definitely have two different styles when it comes to kitchen etiquette and everything. So yeah, so that helped enormously. And I think also the fact that we hear each other out. If there's a product that I think that we should push, and Sara's like, it's not going to sell. It's not going to sell. We talk about it, and then if we decide, let's put it out there for one market. If it doesn't sell, then we don't. But I think it's very every market is an opportunity to learn from whatever goes wrong. So if something doesn't sell, you don't look at it as a failure. You look at it as a learning experience. And Sara's very good about cost. That was part of her job when she was in Manhattan. She would cost things out. On the other hand, when I go, if I see beautiful produce, I'm like, oh my God, I need to have that. And she'll ask me, how much was it? I was like, I don't know. It's just beautiful. Yeah. So she rings me in as far as that's concerned. So I think we complement each other in that respect.
Yeah.
And also our aesthetic has evolved too. I think the fact that she does all of the marketing and the website and everything, they're so beautiful. I think you need to lean more towards your strengths and let somebody have the reins when it comes to that. So, but really, truly, it's not to look at things that go wrong or fail as a failure. It's a learning experience, and I think that you reap so much from just walking away and saying, you're not beating yourself saying, oh my God, that was horrible. You just say, okay, good to know. We'll not do that next time. So.
Yeah, I think that's such an important lesson that every entrepreneur has to learn, that you're always going to have things that are quote unquote failures. Like you said, you have to look at it as a learning experience, or we talk about it being data, taking the personalized side of it, not taking it personal and just going, oh, okay. And I think it's really dangerous if you start guarding all of your ideas for fear of failing. You don't know what that great idea will be. So I think that's a really important reminder.
And also that lesson that the customer is always right. So we do get a couple of people that will come up and say, this wasn't sweet enough for me, or I didn't like this or this. And you take it as constructive criticism. So, and you appreciate that, and then you build onto it. Because as a business owner, I'm sure that everybody listening knows that you want to know what's not working from your clientele. So this way you can fix it, even though it may be hard to hear, you have to fix it and then evolve. So
Yeah. I also like to say that like the first 4 years in business is still just research and development. Like just learning more from your customers, figuring out what works operation wise, um, kind of understanding your own bandwidth too. So,
Oh, yes. Your
you know,
capacity is
yeah.
huge.
And in the beginning, like you really go full speed. And that may wane. And for me, it waned in a really big way because I got a hard stop when I was diagnosed with cancer. And it made me realize that I didn't need to do weekly markets and weekday markets.
Mm,
It's like you end up working 7 days. And as a mom, I was scheduling myself down to the minute to get everything
mm,
done. You know, you have to do things in the pockets of times when you're not taking care of your kids. And so I
mhm,
would be baking from 11 to 1 a.m. And that would just wasn't sustainable.
yeah.
And in the beginning, you asked me like, what was one of my greatest fears is starting to hate the thing that you loved, the reason you started this.
Mm,
And if you kind of tucker yourself out by not building a sustainable schedule, well, what's the point of that? So coming out of cancer treatment, it was really rewarding because we didn't lose any customers. In fact, I think it strengthened our customer base. They missed us. They were so supportive. And now we have a much more maintainable schedule where we've cut
mm,
back and we're pivoting to try and build Birdies more into like a media company where there'll be more culinary education on all of our social platforms. I've written a cookbook proposal and trying to launch cookbooks from this site. And in the next 5 years, we hope to push our preserve, jams, marmalades production to a co-packer, a small
mm.
co-packer where we could still source all our fruit locally and be hands-on tasting every batch because we make every batch of jam in small batches. So that,
singly, yeah.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
quality. We're a company that's about quality rather than
It's
scale.
yeah, it's all about quality control. And that's, you talk about fear and stuff. That's the most frightening thing for me is to let it go into somebody else's hands rather than my own. Because in
Mm.
my when Sara approached me years ago about, oh, you should sell these jams at a farmer's market, and I thought to myself, oh, and I had people approach me about certain things for their restaurant, and they wanted the recipe, and I said, well, I'll come and I'll show your chef how to make this or whatever. And they tweaked it, and I was like, you're not respecting the recipe. You're not allowed to use this anymore. And that's my fear because there's a lot that goes into these jams or these baked goods. It's made with love. Truly, I know that
Mhm.
sounds very cliche, but everything that we make is if it's not good enough, I can't tell you how many times I have chickens, and if something comes out of the oven and I taste it, it's not good enough. The chickens get it because it's just I'm not selling it. So that's the scariest thing. I'm sure that we'll be able to tweak it so that it still has that quality
Mm.
control. But again, that's one of the hurdles that you need to get over in order
Mhm.
to have the business grow.
Every entrepreneur starts their business and doesn't think about how it might grow and evolve, especially if you have a health crisis or
Right.
life just happens. And so you can't be afraid to pivot. And it sounds to me like it forced you to create a more sustainable business and more sustainable schedule for the business that fit your lifestyle so you could take care of you. And that's my goal here on the podcast, to help women and moms be able to do that and not fall into this. I think there's always a time when you start a business, you have to hustle to
Mhm.
get it off the ground. But then as you start to figure things out, you go, okay, what's important to me? It sounds like locally fresh sourced ingredients that taste true to the history behind the recipes and how you would make them is important to you. And then also taking care of yourself. Those are two main goals that you're keeping in mind as you grow the business. And I think that's a really important story and reminder for listeners to hear.
Well, early on, Sarah had a saying that she said that when people asked her what she did, she was a mom first and a businesswoman second.
I would say I'm a full-time mom, part-time business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that may seem out of style or whatever, but I think that's a priority. And I think once you accept that, because motherhood, as you well know, it's not a 9 to 5 thing. It's a lifetime commitment. So if you put that priority there and then everything else follows, you create a rhythm and it falls into place. So
I think another takeaway I learned was that growth doesn't necessarily mean doing more. It means just focusing on what works and making those things better. So every year I'm trying to do that and narrow in on what is really important to Birdie's, which is a reflection of both of us, and grow those aspects. Because I think also just growing up in New York, there is such an element of competition, and coming from the restaurant industry, it's like, I remember after I started Birdie's Batch, I went back to the restaurant group that I work for, and I saw one of the managers, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I started a business." And he's like, "What else are you doing?" It's like, "What do you mean?" Like it's always like, "That's it." And I was like, and I was with my husband, and he looked at him and he's like, "That's a lot." So I think it's also like just tuning out all of the audience noise of
naysayers, yeah.
and really looking within and figuring out what you want your life to look like. I'm approaching 40, and I kind of wish I had the foresight when I was in my 20s to reverse engineer my career, where I first thought about, what do I want my day-to-day to look like? Do I want to be working around the clock? Or do I want to have more of a balance? Everybody's different, and there's no right or wrong answer, but you need to know yourself and what you want that to look like, and then to find industries where that will work for you.
Yeah, 100%. We talk about that so much here, especially for moms who want to put that motherhood aspect first. Not everybody does, and that's a choice. But if you do, there's a way to navigate it that I think a lot of the other business creators don't talk about. And so I love that you're sharing how you've made it work for you. And I think that's really important for anyone listening, whatever type of business that they have. But I know a part of growth is that you were not only doing the markets, but then you started selling product online. And so for listeners, I know if they want to do something similar, especially when it comes to food, that is going to bring about some major challenges. So talk about how you overcame those challenges and how it's going.
Well, in the very beginning, we used a more basic website through Square, and we actually got press in the New York Times. And that increased our sales in 2022, 264%. So we had, when you get a national publication, it hits online first. So you start getting calls every 3 minutes from that. Because our website wasn't sophisticated enough, and our demographic is 55 plus. So we get a lot of phone calls, and we have a lot of questions about navigating the website. So I'm in my basement kitchen on the phone trying to do customer service and ship. And we had hundreds of orders. So I recruited all my friends, so assembled boxes, filled them with packing peanuts. And I realized quickly, okay, our website needs to be divided into what we can ship. That'll ship well, that's not as perishable as other things. And so on the website, you can have a pickup only and a shipping. So that got rid of a lot of the issues of, I can't ship you a galette. I don't trust it to get there fresh and not broken. And out of a couple of hundred orders, we only got one complaint. And this is a woman complained that her cookie broke in half.
One cookie
out of half a dozen. And it was so funny because I come from a hospitality background. I sent this woman more cookies, and she was so thrilled. Just like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. And we had this like ridiculous relay race of like my mom would come to my basement, pick up boxes, run to UPS, ship them, come back, get more boxes, ship them. And we did this for like 3 weeks. And the guy at UPS was like, "What are you guys doing? There's third-party platforms like Pirate Ship." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
You know, like when you're really
It was so
you're like,
green. Oh
"Oh,
my God.
so much money because
Oh,
you're paying full price on shipping."
yep.
So anybody out there, use Pirate Ship if your website doesn't have the shipping capacities.
Yes. So much easier.
So much easier. Fast forward, we did transfer over to Shopify, which has an amazing e-commerce platform, and they do all their shipping within the website. So it was comparable pricing to Pirate Ship, and you can print your labels within the website platform too. So it's like one-stop shop, which was very nice and
Yeah.
easy. Uh, but
I
yeah,
love that the UPS guy was the
I was
one
gonna
who
say,
was like,
right?
a shout out to that UPS guy who
He
was so
changed our
sweet.
life.
Yeah.
Oh, and another really good tip. I don't know, but I always have the same UPS guy who comes and delivers packages that I've purchased. And he was like, "Take my number. The next time you want to ship something, I'll just come and pick it up for you."
Yes.
So make friends with your UPS guy.
right?
Come and make personal pickups.
And when all of these UPS people got like Birdie Batch little goodie bags too.
Yes.
So
Oh my
as
gosh.
an appreciation. So
Free samples go a long way.
that's right. Yes.
You get more with sugar than vinegar, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
I love that. And we've talked about it a little bit, but as your business grows, so too does your idea of like what success is. So can you just talk a little bit about how that's evolved from what you started out thinking success in your business would look like and how it looks now?
I think for me at least, success was more of a numbers game, a bottom line, getting bigger every year. And like I mentioned earlier, to do that with just a two-person team meant total burnout.
Mm,
So now success for me is learning what balance is and growing the notoriety of Birdie's Batch and the community and making real connections with our customers because those customers keep coming back and they're super loyal. And I don't need a huge customer base. I just need a loyal one. Return sales every month. And they're not just buying our baked goods or a jam, they're buying a piece of us and our story. And that's what I'm trying to grow.
hmm
Yeah, I think that's loyalty certainly. But I think the best form of success for me is that people genuinely love our product and the idea of us and the fact that we are like mother-daughter and have
The fact that we're putting out the best product that we can make,
yes,
that we're
exactly.
really happy with what we're putting out, and that we're
Exactly.
not after this
No.
game of scale. We're
Mhm.
not trying to sell the most strawberry jams. We're trying to make the best batches from this season's harvest.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the fact that, and we evolved through that. Sarah, Sarah made me, you'll hear a lot of that. Sarah made me enter marmalades
You sound like the
into,
kid in this relationship. She made me do it.
yeah, that's how it's switched now. But Sarah said a couple of years ago, she was like, let's enter the marmalades into this worldwide UK marmalade contest. And I'm looking at her like, you realize that we're Americans, right? They're not
From
going,
Brooklyn.
yeah, from Brooklyn. They're not going to be interested in marmalades that come from the US. And so she's like, well, what do we have to lose? And so and this was in January, after we do like all
the
of the
December
holidays, the
crazy.
December mad rush and everything, it's like, okay, let's put our thinking caps on and create beautiful marmalades. And I'm like, ugh. But we
She's
did.
won every year.
And yeah, and I was like, and she was telling people, and I was like, oh God, we're not going to win. This is going to be so embarrassing. And we came back and we took bronze the first year. And then of course we submitted again the following year and took bronze again. And that to me is success. And now I'm hungry for that silver or gold, because it's a blind tasting. So they don't know where the marmalades came from. So to me, that's a real success because you know that you put out a good product, but to have somebody in the know taste it and say, wow, this is medal worthy. Let's give them a
It
medal.
makes a big difference for a company too. We know our product's good. We can give you a sample, but if somebody of authority says it's good, not
Yeah.
only customers listen, but other press publications listen, and press begets press. So it was a
Yeah.
good opportunity for us to pitch stories. We've been in the Hudson Valley Magazine, Westchester, the New York Times. We've been on TV. And
Yeah.
it's, for anybody listening, don't be afraid to pitch your own story, especially as mompreneurs. I think there's always an angle to pitch. Journalists are always looking for material.
Yeah,
You can make it timely, and it really can change your business.
right. Especially locally too. Start locally. Just
Those are
reach out. Yep.
I love that. We've talked about your business, you know, from family recipes and your culinary skills, but really you've had so many lessons for any business owner in this episode because like you said, it was so beautiful. In this age of social media, we're chasing the likes, we're chasing the comments, and really all you don't need 1,000 followers or 100,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers or to go viral. Like you said, you need that committed customer base who loves your product and tells their friends about how much they love your product.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true for any business owner. And that's the real metric that you should be following, in addition to how's your work-life balance going? How's your family going? How are your relationships in addition to your business? And then I don't know if you've ever been to the UK, but they take their jellies and jams very seriously. So the fact that you got that
Yes.
distinction is a great honor, and to have that validation is really wonderful.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Maybe use your platform. So in January, we're planning a trip to the UK, and I'm looking for a marmalade mentor. It's actually
Oh,
been
nice.
real difficult. I've been trying to email some British grannies. So if anybody listening has a British granny who wants to teach us the proper set of marmalade, we're
Yes.
hungry for gold.
Okay.
We'll bring you baked goods.
Yes,
We'll
exactly.
clean your kitchen.
I love it. Yes, they really do take it very seriously with their scones and their tea. Yeah, it's
Clotted cream.
so good. Yes, yes, the clotted cream as well. Yeah, we were there a little over a year ago, and on the plane on Virgin Airlines, they gave us a little box for tea time, which kind of came with clotted cream and jam and a scone. I was so happy. It's just like,
Serious
my daughter was asleep. I knew she wouldn't eat it, so I just like.
Excellent. Yep.
I told her later, I was like, "You didn't want that, did you?" She's like, "No." It's good. I will put out my British contacts. I will ask them if they know anybody as well. I love that so much. And then you're taking this trip. That's lovely. I hope you share that on social media because I'd love to see that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that. This has been such a great conversation, and it just fills my bucket and reminds me why I started this podcast, because the stories behind the businesses and what we can all learn from it just mean so much. And women are one of the fastest growing sectors of entrepreneurs. Yep. So we really need to hear these stories. So I appreciate you taking the time out of all your creations to share it. But what is something that you wish more women knew before starting a business?
Be flexible, be ready to pivot, and not to be afraid to start. My grandfather used to have a great quote. He was like, make a mess, clean it up later. And the idea behind it was, if you're waiting for perfection, you might never do it. So go get messy, roll up your sleeves, just start it. You don't have to have a grand plan because you have years to fine tune it. And remember that it's never too late to start a new chapter.
No,
you know?
I mean, I'm so grateful that I'm involved in this little endeavor. As a woman in my 20s, I was just concerned with raising children. And then in my 30s, I wasn't quite sure who I was. And then in my 40s, I was starting to get my feet wet. And I think that's one of the things that women should remember, that instead of thinking about yourself as a gender, just think of yourself as a capable person. And if you have a dream, follow it. And don't listen to the naysayers. Just go out there and start. There's nothing wrong with failure. If it doesn't work, you go on to the next thing. That's what you have to remember. You're a capable person. I don't like to hear people saying you're a capable woman, you're a capable man. You're a capable
Right.
person. So just use all of your energies and go out there and seize life with both hands.
Right. No, I totally understand what you're saying. I just think I think it's more about a vision or an approach to business that I think usually doesn't resonate with women because they think they have to do it a certain way. They have to do the hustle. They have to all the time, and they're not sure how they can incorporate family into it. And so you're incorporating your relationship as mother and daughter, but also raising kids and parenting. And so I think that in itself, as an example, is very inspirational to anybody who wants to start a business and still have a life.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's all about balance too.
Right.
Yeah. Delegate
Right.
where you need to.
Yes.
It's been wonderful talking to you both. Tell listeners where they can connect with you, where they can order those things that you can order online at Birdie's Batch. I'm thinking about those cookies right now.
Send us your address. We'll send you a care pack.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can check out Birdie's Batch at www.birdiesbatch.com. We're also on social media at Birdie's Batch, both on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Sara Cann, Cann. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I've loved it so much. Thank you, ladies.
All
Thanks for
right.
having us.
Have a great day.